Hello guys, welcome to CS50 Pset3 Plurality Walkthrough Tutorial and Solutions. So today we're going to talk about plurality programs, distribution codes, the pseudocodes, and remember to pause the video before we go through the solution sections. So as for the plurality programs, we're going to key in /plurality the candidate names, Alice, Bob, and Charlie. So we have to determine how many voters are there. So in this case, we have 4, means they can vote 4 times. So you can see here the first is for Alice, Bob, and Charlie. So to find out who is the winner here, we're gonna see the definitions. So the candidate has the greater number of votes is decline the winner of the elections. So you can see Alice appear 2 times in the program. So the program will calculate the vote count and decline Alice as the winner. So as for the second program, you can see there's 2 candidates, Alice and Bob. There are 3 voters. So you can see the first one is Alice and Charlie. But as we compare with our candidates, Charlie is not one of our candidates. So the program will prop invalid vote. So this vote will become eliminated. So next, there are Charlie. So as you can see here, Alice. So you can see here Alice appear 2 times. So 2 out of 3, we know that Alice won the elections. So the last one, example here, we can see there's Alice, Bob, and Charlie. There are 5 voters. From here, we can see Alice and Bob appear twice. So both of them has the same number of votes. That means they are tied here. So Alice and Bob as our tie in these elections. As for graphical illustrations, we can see the candidates is the yellow color. So the voters can be more than the candidates. So you can see Alice has 2 votes, Bob has 2 votes, and Charlie's only have 1. So from here you can see that Alice and Bob have the same number of votes and they are tied. So we're gonna explain a bit to the distribution codes so that we can write the program so we can understand the whole program, what it does. So first we're going to include these 3 libraries here, CS50, standard.io, and string.h. So we're gonna define the maximum number of candidates. So you can see here the variable max is equal to 9. And the candidate have name and vote count. So use the type def structure. So the data types names we just put as candidates. So you can see that the candidate has 2 structures with a string, name, and the votes. This 2 is needed to in our program to determine who is the winner and how we define the winner, the name. So here we're gonna have the array of candidate. You can see here the candidate here is like a new data types like a string or integer. So we decline another variable names called candidates. This is like a string. That's why you can see there's a max here. Since we know next max is 9, so the string size is 9. So here we also decline the number of candidates. So integer candidate count. So you can see here is those variables are out of the main functions. So those here is also can be known as global variable. It means that those variable can be used anywhere in the program. So as for the function prototypes, these 2 functions is what we're gonna complete in this exercise, the volume vote string names and the void print winner void. So we just take a look on the type def structs. You can see here we try to create a new data structures called persons, which has these 2 characteristics, the name and the number, both are in the string form. So it main void. So you can see this is like a new data type here. We declare a new variable people of the size 2. So how can we like create to use this? So basically we just put this format here to put here. Just add a dot name to access this structure and define it as the Brian here. So same as this dot number, just key in the number here. This is known as one person, another person is here. So this is how we use the type def struct. So here you can see is slightly similar. We have a candidate 1, the name Alice, and the vote count is 1. So you can see next sections of the distribution codes. The it means argument count and argument value. This is the integer and this is string. So for this if statements, so argument count is less than 2, then we will prop this statement here and return to 1. What it means that is in this program, if we just type /priority, no candidate name behind, you prop this statement here. So this is what this if statement means. Next, we go to the populate array of candidate. So we're gonna find the candidate count. So for example here, we type in the candidate here. So how we count how many candidate here? So what we can do is we use argument count. So you can see here, when we type /priority Alice and Bob, you can see there's three terms here, 3 words here. So this is known as argument count 1, argument count 2, argument 3, argument count 3. So to find the candidate names, candidate counts, what we do is we just minus 1. So for example, you can see here the candidate count is 2. So 2 is actually 3 minus 1 equals to 2. This is how we get the candidate count. So this is if statement means candidate count more than 9. It means max is 9. So you print these statements and return 2. So what it means here is if we key in something /priority and the candidate is around 10 or more, you prop this statement here. It will like we unable to process because the candidate is more than 9. So this is like a arrow here. Next, we're gonna try to define our candidate with the vote. So as we explained just now, we just do a for loop here with the candidate count. So you can see here above is 0 and 1. Just replace the 0 and 1 with the I. You can see here a for loop candidates I dot name argument vector I plus 1, and this is 0. So why we put this argument vector I plus 1 is because if argument vector 0, it will represent priority. It's not the candidate name. So what we do is we just plus 1 here. So it will represent Alice, then Bob, then so on. So this is why we have to do a I plus 1 here. So next we go to the vote count. So it's around this statement here. So we just define an integer folder count get in number of folder, which is 3. So once we get this 3 here, then we place it to here. That's why we can do a vote here to do a for loop here. So once we do a for loop, then we just string name get string. So here we can just take this string here and put it into the name here, then we either can go through these two functions. You can see if this Charlie is not within this candidate, it will prop this invalid vote. Else, it will go through this, update the vote count. Okay, so this is what it does here is just to check whether this candidate is inside the name that we type. So next we're gonna print the winner of the elections. So these two is what we need to construct in this exercise. So in the pseudocodes, we're gonna complete these two functions here. Update the vote total given a new vote, volume vote string name. First, we're gonna look for the candidate call names. If found, just update the vote total and return true. If else, don't update anything and return false. Next, we're gonna find the winner. So the first step is to find the highest vote count among the candidate. Then we just find the candidate who has the higher vote count. So we find the number here, then we find the candidate. So let's see the overview here. So when we type the program here, there will be a table something like this in the program. So start you will define as the vote count will be 0. So after we key in the names of the candidate here, the program will automatically update the vote total given a new vote. So something like 2, 1, 1. So after that, our program have to find the winner, but we have to go through first. We're gonna find the vote count, which is 2. Then from this vote count, we can find the name. Right? So this is how the program find the Alice and Bob. This 3 step is what we're gonna construct here in the program code. So first, we have to update the vote count, vote total. So something like that, we type /priority Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Number of vote is 5. First, we type Alice. So the program, we're gonna take this Alice string to check whether is it one of the candidate. So check names, if okay, then we update the vote count here. Next, we go to the next vote, which is Charlie. So gonna check whether Charlie is one of the candidate. If yes, then we update the vote count from 0 to 1. Then at last, the program we're gonna check one by one. Then we're gonna update the vote count. So you can see at least 2 times. The vote count is 2. Bob 2 times, 2, Charlie 1. So how can we write this thing into the program codes? You know that there was something definitely do with the loop because we were going to check one by one and by one. So you also have to do something like a string compare. Yeah. So let's take a look. So from this example here in the CS50, we are using the similar concept to find uh, the vote count to plus the vote count. So you can see here is the structure here. So the people name, we have the 0 and 1 here. So if we found David here, it's possible that we can directly found the number here. So what we do here, we just do a for loop here. So because there are only 2 people, so it's 2 here. So we use the string compare people I dot name. This I will go inside here. So he will go through this, then this. So we compare with David equals 0. So for example, if David is found, so he 0, 0, this is 0, so it doesn't found David. So now we found David. So we can see that the David here having the same number of here means the I is the same. So we can direct find the full number here by printf people I dot number, else we just put not found. So we can use the similar concept of this into our problem here. So what I do is boolean vote string name, do a for loop on the candidate name, candidate count. Then we do a if string compare with the candidates I dot name and the name. So we don't need to do like this string here. We'll just put a name here, equals 0. So once we found, for example, we put in Alice. So we found Alice is what we want. So we just add the Alice foot count from 0 to 1 and so on. So something like that, candidate vote plus plus, then return true, else return false. So the red color is just a statement, it's not the complete answer. You have to complete it by yourself. So next we're gonna print the winner. So you can see here, after we key in all these things, we have the table here. So how we find this Alice and Bob? So actually we have two steps here. The first one, we have to find the highest vote count among the candidate. You can see in this table here, what we want to do is to find the highest number. So after we find the highest number here, which is 2, then from this 2, we can find the name using the same concept as this one. Alright, so we go through one by one. So how can we find the highest vote count among these 3 candidates? We can use a variable. We declare a variable integer highest equals to 0. So we use this as to compare this one, whether this is higher or this one. If this is higher, then we just take 2. So what we do here, we do a for loop on the candidate count. Then if this candidate votes is higher than 0, then the highest variable will equals to candidate I dot vote. So for example, we go to this Alice. Alice is actually bigger than 0. So highest will equal to 2. Then we check, is it bot the number 2 is higher than H? No, it's the same, so nothing changed. So 1 is smaller than higher, so nothing changed. So that's how the program will record down the highest vote count. So remember, the red color is not complete. You have to complete by yourself. And next, once we found the highest number, as we explained just now, so you can see this 0 and 1. Once we found the David, we can find the number. For example, here we just do a for loop, a string compare. For example, we found a David, so it's 1. So we can take this 1 and put it into here to find David's number. The same concept here, once we found the highest value equals to, we'll just do a for loop on the candidate. Then if the candidate's I vote is equals the highest, for example, Alice vote is 2. That's why we'll print the Alice out. Then you can see both bot also the vote count is equals to 2. So you print bot also. So this is how we find the highest vote count candidate using a for loop and just equals to the highest and print the candidate names. So the red color is not completed. Please complete by yourself. So now please pause the video and try solving it before continues to the solution sections, especially those red color statement. Alright, welcome back. So we're gonna move on to the solution explanation section. Okay, so let's take a look. So you can see this is the distribution codes. So these 3 library, max9, type def structures. Then we have the area of candidate, which is I think 9. Yeah, 9. So we go to the number of candidates. So you can see that all these like max 9 candidates and candidate count, all this is the global variable, including the functions that we have to create. Then you can see the main functions as you explained. All these, if the argument count is less than 2, we can prop this. Then the candidate count, how we count the candidates. -1 is just to minus the first term here. Then how we construct the structures, like 0, 1, at least, vote count. Then once we key in the number of votes, we're gonna look through the votes and the name. Something like this, 3, so we appear 3 times of the vote. So we're gonna check whether for example like Charlie's is invalid, so we just prop this invalid. Then we're gonna print the winner here. Okay, so now we go through the midst of this video. So first, for this function volume vote string name, we create a for loop. So initial I equals 0, I less than candidate count, as plus plus. So for example, Alice, Bob, Charlie, 3. So this will be 3. So for example, we put in Alice, so Alice will be here. So we just found, is it correct? So if correct, then we just plus candidate I dot vote plus plus return true. It means that Alice is one of the candidate. We just plus the vote from 0 to 1. So this is the Boolean vote functions. So next we're gonna go through the winner. So the winner has 2 sections. First, we're gonna find the highest vote count among the candidate. So we're gonna decline integer highest equals 0. Then we're gonna go through each of the candidate vote count. So if the candidate vote count is larger than the highest, the highest will equal to the candidate vote. So it will just always the highest variable will always store the highest value of the candidate count. So next, once we have the highest value here, so we're gonna look through each candidate to see whether their vote count is equals to the highest. So just put the if statements, the vote count, if the vote count is equal to highest, so we just print the name of the candidate. For example, you can see here at least 2 times and Bob 2 times. So you can see 2 names is here. So this is how I construct the priority. So let's test this. So we have, for example, 5. Is Alice, Bob, and Charlie. So you can see here, Alice and Bob. So I think this is quite okay. This is what we expect to the program. So I think that's it. This is how I resolve the plurality questions. So thanks for watching and see you next time.